Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In today's episode, we will share some true Airbnb horror stories that will remind us to be careful when we travel. But before starting the video, please consider giving us a like. Also, if you have any terrifying or unnerving experiences of your own, feel free to reach out and share your story with us. Who knows, it might even be featured in one of our future episodes. A few months ago, I moved out from my house for work-related reasons, even though I had to wait a couple of months before moving into my next place. But since I can work from anywhere, I decided to stay at my close friend Amy's holiday family house. It's empty most of the time and is in the village where I grew up in the countryside. I've known this family and their house well since I was a small child. The house is rather large, with 2 floors and 5 bedrooms, and it's in a quiet, even remote, part of the village surrounded by forest and other empty holiday houses. I knew this could feel scary since I'm a 27-year-old female living alone, but I don't like letting fear hold me back, so I took a few steps to feel safer. Before moving in, I planned to check all the doors and windows carefully. After that, I would look through every room, check under every bed, and open all the wardrobes. This way, I could be sure the house was completely empty, and I would keep it that way by always locking the doors carefully. I also knew there were no spare keys. That way, if I got somehow scared at night, I could remind myself it was just in my head. My mother came with me to help check everything since she lives nearby. We ran into a problem early on while checking the doors and windows. 2 glass doors from the patio weren't working right, and anyone could easily slide them open. Those doors were set up like this. One faced the garden, and the other connected the patio to the rest of the house. This meant someone could get into the patio from outside and then enter the house. Now, the word you're thinking of might be veranda, which is a room with large windows or wide glass sliding doors instead of walls. So after finding this problem, I called my friend Amy, and we agreed I should get a locksmith. Amy's family isn't doing great financially right now, so depending on the cost, we'd either fix only the door to the garden or both doors. Luckily, the price was reasonable, so the locksmith, a lady, was able to change both locks. The patio was now perfectly secure. However, the locksmith said the glass door leading to the garden was weak, and someone could easily open it if they really wanted to. But since the glass door between the patio and the rest of the house was safe, I didn't worry about that. People could enjoy themselves in the patio as long as I felt safe inside my house. The first few days were a little scary, but since I was careful with the doors and the area around the house was so peaceful and nice, I quickly loved living there. I enjoyed warming up by the fireplace, eating good food, and breathing fresh air. I felt very free and happy. However, I did notice a small odd detail in the first days. A 3rd glass door was no longer locking. I was very surprised, as I had checked every single door carefully during my inspection. This 3rd door was right next to the one I had repaired, between the patio and the house. This meant the patio wasn't completely secure anymore, but I thought it was okay since all the doors leading outside were still locked. I didn't want to worry about it, and I didn't want any unnecessary fears to bother me. I concluded that I must have missed it, and I felt a little ashamed that I made Amy's family spend money on 2 locks, when it should have been 3 because of my mistake. After 2 wonderful months of living my dream, mostly on my own since all my childhood friends had moved away from the village, a friend came to visit me. We spent some time outside and had a drink at my place before I drove him back to his village, which is about an hour away. As we were leaving my house, he even pointed out how careful I was about closing all the shutters behind us. I told him it was important for me to feel safe there. I got back home around 10 p.m., entered my secure house, and locked the door behind me. As I turned the key, I suddenly felt intense goosebumps all over my scalp. I had never felt anything like it before, and I didn't even know people could get goosebumps on their scalp. Along with that, I had a strong instinct that something was wrong, and I felt like I needed to be careful. I felt all of this so strongly that I couldn't ignore it, but I knew my house was securely locked. So I stayed alert, but walked through the entrance and into the kitchen. On the floor, I saw a small blue rectangular plastic bag lying on the orange floor. I was surprised because I recognized it as a bag used to fill with water to make ice cubes. It didn't belong there. I had seen these bags before, when I was looking for freezer bags to store my food, and I had even mistaken them for freezer bags. I knew those bags were stored in a drawer on the other side of the kitchen, and I was sure my friend and I hadn't used them earlier. Finding the bag made my uneasy feelings stronger. I sent a picture to my friend and asked if he had used it. He said he had never gone to the kitchen. I grabbed a baseball bat and started walking into the living room. Whenever I felt afraid in the house, I usually took a little tour through every room to make myself feel better. That's what I wanted to do at that moment, but my gut feeling was stopping me. Instead, it pushed me to leave the house. I drove to my mother's place and slept there. Then a few days later, on a sunny afternoon, my mother and I returned and did a thorough check. Nothing was missing or broken, and no one was there. Everything was exactly as I had left it. With that evidence, I concluded it must have been my friend who accidentally took the bags and forgot about them. They must have fallen on the floor when I opened the door or something like that. I went back inside and continued to enjoy living in this beautiful place for another month. Then something else happened. For a few days, I had been hearing strange noises that started to scare me, so I decided it was time to check everything again. It was around 9 p.m. when I began to go into every room, looking under every bed. Downstairs, everything was clear. I walked upstairs, opened the first bedroom door, and to my surprise, the light was on. This made me jump a little. I never go into these rooms upstairs, and they are always kept closed. Still, I walked toward the wardrobe, but before I could open it, I got a chill down my spine as I saw an unknown object lying on top of the furniture. I opened the wardrobe, and fortunately no one was inside, so I closed it and looked at the object. It was a long black fabric sheath, quite big, with a hook to carry it on a belt. A scary thought crossed my mind that it might be a knife sheath, but I pushed that idea away because I didn't want my imagination to run wild in that situation. I finished my checkup, but even though I didn't find anyone, I couldn't shake the weird feeling I had about the sheath and the light. That night, I slept at my mother's place again. The next day I checked with my friend Amy. No family member had come into the house while I was away, and they didn't recognize the object as belonging to anyone in their family. Then I started thinking again about the patio's third door. This thought had been in my mind for a few weeks, but I had been pushing it away to avoid unnecessary fear. And looking back at my thorough check of the entrance, it seemed very unlikely that I would have missed a door. Also, the locksmith had changed the lock on the door next to it, and had even looked at it to see how a well-functioning lock should work. At first, Amy and I thought that an old Airbnb tenant might have made a copy of the keys. Another locksmith came to check the lock on the third door, and she said, "The part of the lock that screws into the door frame, where the lock fits, had been unscrewed." She also checked the door leading to the garden that her colleague had said was easy to open. She said, "This lock screw is also unscrewed, so there was very little chance this was all just a coincidence, and someone intentionally did this." I decided to leave the house for good. I believed someone had their routine in this house, using the way I locked up when I arrived, and they made sure they could still get inside even with the changes I made. My daughter and I just returned from our trip to Virginia, where we had booked an Airbnb for 6 nights, but we ended up leaving after the 3rd night. Even though the host was friendly and had that warm southern hospitality, but something felt off from the first night. The door code was a long string of 7 numbers that she had memorized, but it was really hard for me to remember. So I ended up locking us out right after we arrived and started unloading all our bags. Frustrated, I had to walk over to the host's house to ask for the code again. The host welcomed us into her home, but things got strange fast. She asked if we wanted something to drink, and while she seemed kind, she then began asking my daughter a lot of random questions. And she even told me to stay silent, saying she only wanted my 8-year-old to answer. Hearing that gave me an uneasy feeling right away, and I felt something was wrong. Later, when we were leaving, she told us to make sure we closed the curtains in the house, even though it's a safe place. But the way she said it made me feel like she was trying to hide something from us. The property was huge and completely private. We were surrounded by open fields, trees, and not a single neighbor in sight. That first night, I kept hearing what sounded like a big bug with a hard shell flying into the mini split in the bedroom over and over. But after traveling for 18 hours, I was too tired to pay attention. The second night was different. While we were in bed, the bathroom connected to the room on the 2nd floor kept making a strange metallic tinkering sound. My daughter luckily slept through the noises, but I kept feeling anxious and uneasy. I tried to convince myself that I was just tired and nervous from traveling. During the 2 days we stayed there, I noticed something strange. The fan I had left on was turned off every time we came back. In the bathroom, there was a small, extendable mirror, the only mirror which could also be tilted up and down. But the mirror kept being tilted down to a child's level. At first, I thought my daughter was doing it, so I would just fix it. But on the last day, I tilted it back up and went downstairs to check on her while she was coloring. When I came back upstairs, I was shocked to find the mirror tilted down again. By the 3rd night, all the odd things happening around the house became too much for me to handle. After feeling like we were being kept an eye on for days, my daughter went to take a shower. She told me, "I am closing the bathroom door so the lightning bugs can't watch me." My daughter is very outgoing and usually wants me close by. And normally she never wants the bathroom door shut when she's showering. So this showed me that she also felt something, even though if she couldn't explain it. We finally went to bed and she fell asleep quickly. But I couldn't sleep again because I felt anxious and started having panic attacks, which I don't usually get. Then the noises began, and they were even worse than the previous 2 nights. The metallic tinkering sound in the bathroom got louder and faster. Then I heard what sounded like someone playing with the things on the bathroom counter, and it sounded like they dropped a glass. Next, I heard the closet door across from the bed open. My suitcases were in the way, so I heard the door hit them. These noises went on for hours. Everything inside me told me to run, protect my daughter, and get out as soon as possible. The next morning when I went into the bathroom, I saw muddy footprints from a child coming out of the shower. I tried to find a reason for the muddy footprints, but I just couldn't. My daughter hadn't played in any mud during our trip, and even if she had, there would have been muddy footprints leading from the front door, where we took off our shoes. I felt a wave of panic wash over me as I realized how strange everything had been. I immediately began packing our bags, feeling a strong need to get out of that place for good. I didn't want to stay there any longer, not after everything that had happened. After not returning for 2 nights, the host messaged me and offered an extra night for free, but I didn't even reply to her. It took me several days to get over this experience. It was so scary for me and my daughter. I want to start by saying I don't fully believe in ghosts. However, what I experienced was really strange, and I still can't explain it. Now, those events in the house only lasted for about 2 weeks, until we had someone cleanse the house. From 2019 to 2021, I served at Aviano Air Base in northern Italy with the United States Air Force. While I was there, I moved into a house with a close friend from tech school and his wife. And living there changed my mind about ghosts. I went from not believing in them at all to almost being sure they're real. I still don't fully believe, because I don't think anyone really knows the reason behind the strange things that happen sometimes, and I can't say for sure what was going on in that house. The first week in the house felt normal, and nothing weird happened. But after that week, I began having very intense nightmares every night. I can't remember what these nightmares were about, which might be for the best. But I know they left me feeling scared and uneasy. Almost every time I woke up from these nightmares, I experienced sleep paralysis. I remember lying there, unable to move, feeling trapped and terrified. I start hearing a quiet whooshing sound in my ears. It gets louder and louder until it's almost unbearably loud. One time I remember waking up in a cold sweat. I looked around the room, feeling confused and scared. At the foot of my bed, I saw a dark figure rising up. It was hard to see clearly, but it looked like it was reaching for me. Suddenly, it started lifting my legs off the bed, and panic washed over me. At that moment, I snapped back to reality, probably because of the rush of adrenaline coursing through my body. I realized that there wasn't really a figure there lifting my feet. I was half asleep and dreaming. But even though I knew it wasn't real, the experience felt so intense and vivid that I was truly terrified. My roommates also talked about having nightmares, but they weren't as intense or as frequent as mine. At night, after waking up from these nightmares, I sometimes heard noises coming from downstairs. My roommates, who also slept upstairs, heard them too. The noises sounded like cabinets opening and closing, along with silverware and pots and pans being moved around. I wasn't completely sure though, because I didn't dare go out of my room to check, as I was already scared from the nightmares. Now my roommates had more experience with paranormal happenings and knew how to deal with them. They went to a store and bought some dried sage and a bead necklace for me, saying it was for protection. Even though I was skeptical, I never took that necklace off when I was in the house. But when my roommates and I tried to burn the dried sage in the house, it wouldn't light at all. No matter how long we held the fire to it, it wouldn't even burn a little. The strange part was that when we took the sage outside, it immediately caught fire. We brought it back inside and tried to burn it again, but it wouldn't light at all, no matter how hard we tried. This could have been because of humidity in the house or something else, but it really creeped us out a bit. That same night we tried to burn the sage. My buddy and I woke up at the exact same time. We left our rooms and met in the hallway. We both wanted a midnight snack, and the house was quiet. But as soon as we got close and greeted each other, the noises started, the same noises I described earlier. We both stopped in the hallway near the stairs and just listened for a minute, trying to figure out exactly what we were hearing. Then, out of nowhere, and I really mean out of nowhere, while we were standing completely still just listening, the necklace my roommates had bought me exploded. It broke without anything touching it, and the beads scattered all over the floor. The final straw came when my roommates claimed they saw the entity. I'm not sure if I completely believe them, but here's what they said they saw. One day while they were eating in our kitchen, they were sitting at the table facing the glass door that leads to the patio. In the reflection of that door, they could see into the hallway behind the table where they were sitting. They claimed to have both seen an old lady walk past that doorway. They told me that neither of them said a word to each other. They just looked at each other and quickly went upstairs to their rooms. I say this was the last straw because after that encounter, they called someone they referred to as a curandero or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was some kind of Mexican priest or witch doctor. He told them that we were in danger and that he would perform a ritual to try to remove whatever was in our house. I don't know what he did, but it really worked, and I was just glad to finally get a good night's rest. After he finished, nothing strange happened in the house anymore. This was my only paranormal experience so far, and I'm still not sure what to make of it.